If you were from Software and had just finished making Elden Ring, watching it release to critical and commercial success, your next move would probably be, more Elden Ring. And with subsequent updates and a DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, being big enough to almost be its own game, that's exactly what we got. But where do you go after all of that? A sequel? An Elden Ring 2? Being such a big fan of Elden Ring and Souls-like games in general, I've often thought about what another Elden Ring could be. Normally, if you're making a sequel to a video game, you want it to be bigger, better.
I'm better! I am better!
But with the enormous size of Elden Ring as is, how much bigger would you actually want it? With so many AAA games being bloated, I feel like Elden Ring sort of hits that limit of how big a game like it should be. At least for me anyways. I mean, one of the main criticisms for Elden Ring is some of the dungeons feel copy and pasted, and many of the boss fights are just repeated. And sure, in a perfect world you would have every dungeon and every boss be unique, but with time and budget constraints and the mental health of your employees to look out for, a game that size just wouldn't be feasible. At least I don't think it would be. They could very well be working on Elden Ring 2 with all this in mind, but I doubt it. Anyways, what I'm getting at is that Nightreign is a no-brainer. It just makes sense. At any given time, there are tens of thousands of players in Elden Ring on Steam alone. Trying to sort of capture that player base and monetize it is inevitable. And I don't want that to come across as necessarily a bad thing. It can be. We have plenty of examples of that. But I think at this point, FromSoft has enough goodwill that I trust them for the most part. I feel like Nightreign is a good idea, but it's mostly about the execution, how you go about doing things. But we'll go over that later. If you look at some of the most popular content surrounding Elden Ring, you'll come across speedruns, randomizer runs, people doing crazy challenges, and seamless co-op being one of the most downloaded mods for Elden Ring. It makes sense to kind of blend it all together into its own game. Even more so with the rise of roguelikes and extraction games. I feel like this all accumulated into FromSoft's decision to go with a game like Nightreign. And I'm all for experimenting with the IP. I even wish more games would do things like that. I just hope they don't lose what makes me love these games in the first place, in place of trying to chase trends. To be clear though, I don't think that's what Nightreign is. I'm honestly really excited for it, and I think they really just want to make a fun game to tide us over until their next big single player title, whether it be another Elden Ring or something else. Okay, so I mentioned how Nightreign being a good idea still depends on its execution. What I mean by that is mostly how they plan on balancing the game. FromSoft has a reputation for their games to be hard, and if you played a lot of their games and know what you're doing, you know that its difficulty, for the most part, can be completely bypassed if you have the right build. Roguelites are generally similar in the sense that they're known for their difficulty, but if you know what you're doing and a bit of luck, you can get that god run and trivialize the game for a playthrough. I hope Nightrun keeps that theme going and doesn't try too hard to fine-tune and balance everything into every run feeling sort of the same. Let us get that broken weapon and nuke some bosses for a run. If the chances are low and things have to go just right to get it, I feel like it adds a nice risk-reward to the game. I'd understand if it's too easy to get or if it's actually one-shotting boss fights. Tuning it down would be smart, but I hope the randomized nature of the game keeps each run feeling fresh by really stretching the highs and lows of your loot. I really have a fun over balanced philosophy when it comes to gaming, especially PvE games, and I hope Nightreign sort of follows that path rather than nerfing anything that's slightly overtuned to keep it as punishing as possible. Balance is tricky, and you're never going to make everyone happy, but that's how I feel about things. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also if you like these kind of videos and want more, maybe leave a like and subscribe. Anyways, at the end of the day, I do think Nightreign was inevitable. All signs seem to point to it, although I was still surprised when it was announced. I do think we'll eventually get a proper sequel to Elden Ring, but as of right now, I don't really think it's something they could innovate with, beyond expanding the lore. And with an Elden Ring movie in the works, it seems we might be getting our lore fix anyways. But that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. Nightreign comes out in about a week, so if you're interested in more, stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.